Hello, everyone. I'm Dani, and today Great.com talks with Kate Krug, who is the Vice President of Development and Communications at NEW, Nontraditional Employment for Women in New York. If you haven't heard of them, they are an organization that prepares, trains, and places women in careers in the skilled constructions, utility, and maintenance trades, helping women achieve economic independence and a secure future for themselves and their families. If you're new here to this podcast, please press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app, because today we learn about the importance of promoting equal opportunities for women in non-traditional careers. Hi, Kate. Welcome to our podcast.
Hi, Dani. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here to share some information about NEW.
Oh, that's awesome. We are very pleased to have you here. Well, I like to do some research before our interviews here. I think it's important to have some facts and data before we begin. And I read in your website that NEW started working in 1978. And well, we know, I think it's a common sense that a lot has changed for women since then, but we have not achieved equality, right, just yet. And doing this research, I saw some statistics about employment for women, trying to understand better the situation, trying to get out of my own optimistic bubble. I have that. And what I found out, and please, everyone can check that information at the US Department of Labor. They have it on their website, is that the top 10 occupations for women have not changed much in the past 40 years, right? We see a lot of women still working a lot as nurses, as clerks, as secretaries, or some sort of administrative jobs and something like that. So I'm laying that information just because I think we're not quite there, right, when we think about non-traditional employment. So if you could please tell us more about that, what is still considered a non-traditional employment for women?
Sure. Yeah. Construction is a highly gender segregated career path for people, but it's also one of the few career paths that require a high school diploma or equivalency, that, you can have a justice informed background. You can, you can build up a pathway to the middle class through a career in construction. It is, and usually if it's a unionized construction career, which is what we like at NEW, and the placements that we like to help women get, you're earning as you're learning too. So those other career paths that you talked about, like nursing or teachers or any sort of administrative aid, usually that comes with a college education, which we all know now comes with a lot of debt that follows you, into your 40s, into your 50s, especially if you go to the traditional path and starting school right away at like 17 or 18. But with construction, when you're going to these schools, you're earning money as you're learning. They're paying for your education. They're putting you through these programs. And specifically, if you start with non-traditional employment for women, our program is free for women, transgender, and non-binary individuals in the New York City area. It's a 7-week program in which we give you the background on how, of the knowledge of basic construction, basic carpentry, electrical, plumbing. We give you OSHA, site safety, like training and certificates. And then, of course, blueprint reading and everything. And we get your hands on some tools. But the big magical part about our organization is that we have direct entry status with the Department of Labor. So that means with our 30 apprenticeships that we have a good relationship with, our women, once a seat opens up in that apprenticeship program, and they usually set aside about 15% of their slots for non-traditional employment for women, our women are right there into the program. As soon as they can pass those tests with those organizations, they can start earning, they can start learning, they can start getting their hands on some tools and become a carpenter, become a plumber. And these careers are transformative. We found that a career in construction, you can earn yearly about $67,000 on average. That's about $19 per hour. So not only is the pay great, but you're getting benefits. In America, we need to have health insurance privatized. So being able to get health insurance through your union so that, you're not worrying about, am I going to pay bills? Am I going to buy food? Or am I going to take my kid to the doctor? Your union supports you to make sure that you have all of those things in place so that you can do those things, you can go to work, and you can eventually, go from low to moderate income to middle class. So making sure that we have a pathway for women into these careers is incredibly important, because it's one of the, once you're in the union, there is no more, difference between, like, you, whatever apprentice level you are, everybody gets paid the same. So we want to make sure we have more pathways for women into these skilled career jobs that have these benefits, that have these opportunities for them.
Wow, that's really an amazing structure of work. And if you don't mind, I want to highlight 3 points that are vital to me. First one is when you talk about the money, the financial part of it, because yes, thinking about just the traditional career paths and, this more classical model, it has a financial impact that sometimes we don't consider. And well, most of our audience it's global, so it varies from county to country. But in the United States, it's a very notorious fact, right, that people get out of colleges in a huge debt. So that is one point of financial things. But another one is that we are considering a very highly paid skill, right? It's an incredible thing. We usually, again, don't think about it. We don't see it as a highly paid profession. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing that truly kind of makes me happier to hear is about unions, because I feel that a lot of women feel insecure because we still have more of women like having a family and sometimes being a single parent. And even though they work outside the house, they also have work to do considering their house and their family, the children and everything else. So having this support, I think, helps a lot to make women feel more secure on those positions, right?
I'm so happy you brought up childcare, because that has been something that our organization has been talking about for over 40 years, because non-traditional employment is also non-traditional hours. If you're getting to work at 5 a.m., but daycare opens at like 7 or 8, there's 2 to 3 hours that are missing in your day. Like, what do you do with your children? Or, you have to work in New York City. We have the 5 boroughs. So, you live in the Bronx, you're working in Manhattan, but your daycare is a lot of traveling that's going on just to get to your office. So what we've done at Non-Traditional Employment for Women and our social services team, especially helping students right away to help them figure out their childcare situation, is that we've hired a childcare associate that really just manages that portfolio of students and graduates that are heads of households, whether they're taking care of children or elderly parents, so that they can figure out, what their daycare situation is, how are they getting kids to school, do they have a backup to daycare, what is the backup to the backup, and sometimes just sitting down and talking through these things with people and making sure that they know what the available city and state resources are can make a world of difference, and really just help them realize they can do this job. And once they're on they keep going to the job, they have access to the job, they have consistent work, that paycheck comes in and can really transform their daycare options as well. So it's, we've been having this conversation for 40 years, but the pandemic made everybody want to have this conversation. So all of a sudden, everybody has this problem. So we stepped up and we're like, yes, we'd love to talk about this more. We've been talking about this for 40 years. We'd love to talk about it more. So childcare is, a reason why women don't take jobs, why they leave jobs, why why they go into debt, because we don't have a system to support them. And so we wanted to take that extra effort and say, if you want to work, we want to help you find those systems and we're going to support you. So, it's just another way to help remove those barriers so that people can get to work and, start making those transformative wages.
That's truly awesome. I have no better way for that, because I mean, we can all relate as not just women, but thinking about our parents and all of that. And just to not lose track, the third thing I wanted to highlight was that you're always talking about careers. You're not talking about jobs. It's not just one placement, right? It's building up something.
Yeah. So yeah, we're not placing you into a job. New York City's minimum wage is $15 per hour, and that's a regulated minimum wage.
Mhm.
But if you look at that $15, what can you get for $15 when you go into the grocery store? Especially say if you need to buy any feminine care products, if you need to get anything for your children, if you need to get anything like lunch for yourself or just a cup of coffee, like, $15 goes pretty fast. And a
Mhm.
lot of the jobs that we see out there are people don't get enough hours. They're not meeting the requirement to qualify for benefits. And, there's a high cost of living in a lot of these areas. So that money goes in and out the pocket right away. So those jobs, you don't really see a real path to success. And when you go into the unionized construction trades, when you join your union, they're really focused on helping you earn and learn and grow. They want this to be a transformative career for you. And they show you a steady ladder that you can climb to become the apprentice, to the journey, to, make possibly journeying out one day on your own. So there's all of these different levels that, these unions really support and participate in your career growth. And they're really there to support you in those efforts. So that's why we're really focused on like placing women into unions and making sure that they have that career path option, because it's really about consistency. Like we find change when we're able to consistently be able to go to the same place of work and see that, we're appreciated and that we are recognized for our efforts.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And what kind of programs do you have running right now with you?
Sure. So, Non-Traditional Employment for Women has a couple different core programs. The first program is the first program that we ever came up with, which is called, it's a 7-week course. It's free for anyone that takes the course. And like I said, you get the backgrounds in carpentry, electrical, plumbing, and you get your hands on some tools. You get your OSHA 10 card, which is our site, your safety card. And once you graduate, we work with you and our social services team. We give everybody wraparound social services to help you get a placement into your chosen career path. Different unions open up at different times. So you may be waiting a few months before your chosen union opens up. So we can help you with intern placements, some resume building jobs as well. So that's really the biggest, part about not only our training is the placement aspect of it, and of course the social services. We also heard from our students many years ago that some of them were not able to stop their jobs, or they had other responsibilities during the day, but they're really invested in this career path. So we have another program called New at Night, or NAN. And that's when you can come to our classes, and that's a 9-week course because you're coming in the evenings and then you're coming on Saturdays as well. And it's the same sort of services and support and programming that you would get from attending our blue collar prep. During the pandemic, we came up with a brand new program. We've gotten through 4 cohorts of it so far. So about 100 women have taken this class, and it's called Green Collar Prep. So a lot of the things that we're talking about now is greening the economy, greening the world that we live in, and making sure that we're keeping a keen eye on sustainability. And what we've done is taken our blue collar prep course and put a sustainability lens on it, so that not only are we attracting women, transgender, non-binary folk in New York City to these positions because they're like, I would love to green New York. They have this environmental, drive in them. But we're also giving them an extra edge on their resume. Now people want to bring them into their unions because they see, oh, they know about HVAC. Oh, they know about solar panels. Oh, they've heard about low flow plumbing, or they know about like restructuring a building rather than just taking it down and destroying. Like they know all of these things and we don't have to teach them. So, it's that extra resume edge that helps them as well. And at the moment, because of the pandemic and because of social distancing, the majority of our classes are 65% online. So you can take your blueprint reading, your OSHA, your trades math. You take that all online, and then you come in for 2 weeks of hands-on training with a smaller class that's socially distant. And then once you graduate, we give you all of your materials that you need to succeed.
Wow. I love the how broad it is. And the grinning part make our eyes shine or not lie.
I mean, it's huge. It's important to not only give women these resume building opportunities, but that extra edge that puts them above and beyond. And also, like, we know that everybody is focused on the environment and greening the economy. And these are things that, are good for us, are good for the world, but also just now this woman is coming to you saying, hire me, and I already know how to do the things that you want to do.
Wow, that's awesome. Absolutely. And one thing that I got thinking is that when you take women and put them in positions where you have mainly male co-workers, we know that we cannot generalize, but there's a lot of gender issues that usually arise, especially involving harassment and sometimes some sort of prejudice. So do you have any sort of support on that areas as well?
Well, we have a social services team that once you walk through the doors of New, you're a new person for life. So you can come to us, whether you graduated like 2 days ago or like 10, 15, 20 years ago. There's also, each union usually has a sisterhood in each union in which you can go to them and you can talk to them about it as well. And we always make connections. It doesn't matter what union you're in. If you're on a job site and there's someone from Local 3 electricians there and you're a plumber, we'll let you know that these people are on the site, or you'll figure it out. Because usually if you're walking on the job site and you see a woman on a job site working as well, you go, are you a new grad? And they're usually like, I'm a new grad. And like, they have this joke that the first thing they do is like, okay, here's the bathroom and here's the code. And then the next thing they say, anything you need, I'm here. So there's a strong sisterhood that's established at New that they have carried through into their careers. So not only does the union support you, and the unions in New York City does not tolerate any of that inappropriate behavior, especially a lot of the owners and the general contractors now, they put a stop to a lot of projects immediately once something like that happens, and they do a training before they allow work to continue. That's a change in the last few years, and it's a great change because it's saying that we support those that are working on our site. We do not tolerate hate. We do not tolerate gender discrimination. And the unions are incredibly supportive. The sisterhood is incredibly supportive, and our social services team and everybody that works at New is always going to be there.
Well, this is very important to hear. And I love the sisterhood. I will not lie that. Well, unfortunately, I have to get to the end of our interview with my last question for you, is that everyone who's listening, what is the best way to help your work and to get to know more about you?
Well, the best way to help New is, of course, with a donation, which you can do very easily on our website. If you go to our website, it's www.new-nyc.org. And there's a donate button right there. Any and all help, especially, those little donations towards the end of the year, is really helpful to our tradeswomen, making sure that they not only have access to our classes, but access to boots and Metro cards and the tools that they need and their certifications and their union dues, just so they can get our first day on the job. Like, those are really important and incredibly helpful. And we're so grateful when those types of donations come in. The other way that you can help is go to our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Our name is New Strong Women. And if you just follow us, and if you're able to share our content and spread the message about New and let people know that we're out there and they can come get our services for free, or that they should be hiring women, that's what we want to hear.
Oh, that's awesome. And we're going to make sure to have all this information for our listeners easy to access.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you. This was a great talk.
Yes, thank you, Danny, for having me.
No, truly our pleasure. I mean it from my heart. And for everyone listening, thank you as well. And if you enjoyed this episode, please press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. That will show the algorithms that this is an important conversation, so more people can learn about the importance of New in New York. See you at the next episode.